What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the latest update on our very own Dallas Cowboys. And of course, as always, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Take a second, hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Follow us anywhere and everywhere at My Cowboys Family. And of course, hop in the Discord link for that's in the description box down below.
Oh, yeah. Let's keep it going tonight. Oh, that was quick. As we roll into the first day one of these mandatory mini camps for the Dallas Cowboys. And, of course, we knew what to look for. Ceedee Lamb, Micah Parsons. We got a lot on these two subjects and many more tonight here on My Cowboys Family. But before we go there, let's shout out those that rep the boards. And this week, you know who's the man McLovin. He's the takeover on the Sponsor of the Week board and the overall board. So, big shout out to McLovin.
For showing the love.
Yeah, on the After Dark especially. And then Mark Hovsepian, 33 points as our stream boss. A little malfunction yesterday on the YouTube side. Hopefully that's resolved today. He should be down at like 20 right now, but he's hanging on with Tony Dorsett. TD. So, much love to Mark Hovsepian. You look above that. Well, you don't see him right now, but yeah, you might have seen him. You've definitely seen someone here named Mr. Skeptical Fan who just gifted one membership here to Juan Carlos.
Congrats, Juan Carlos. And thank you again, Skeptical Fan, for showing the love.
Yeah, that's actually the spot we're going to speak on here. Again, who's right now the king of that board? It is, as far as the membership gifting, it is Jason Renfro.
A.K.A. Jet Lee 44.
Jet Lee 44, the new name there. So, and he's still in the lead with 2 gifted memberships this week. But will they go back-to-back? Because Skeptical Fan just cut that lead in half. He's got one on it. So, big shout-out to Skeptical Fan. I appreciate you, brother. And go Cowboys. I'll update that a little later on the board here, as he also is slowly going up this entire leaderboard, which currently is led by Jet Lee 44. But right behind him and in second place is our Cash App leader, SCO971. And yeah, he's trying to collect that crown from McLovin. We'll see what happens. He's also on the After Dark side of things. Appreciate all you guys who dropped the love and helped the channel. There's also, of course, the super chats, the thanks button feature here. There's also, of course, jumping in the memberships and gifting memberships, like right there, my man, Mr. Skeptical Fan, dropping that gifted membership to Mr. Juan Carlos. So there's also 4 other ways through the Cash App to get the Cash App King, and a lot of the After Dark people, they go that way.
Yeah.
On these kind of different ways to drop the love.
Yeah, you guys know the more traditional YouTube side of things, but on the other side of things, you have, of course, the Cash App money sign My Cowboys Family, the Venmo at My-Cowboys-Family. You have the regular PayPal link and the Streamlabs link, which lets your comment show up on screen just like a super chat would.
Yeah, right. So, on top of that, we also have an upcoming raffle here at the end of this week. Probably going to have to be Monday, probably. So, because it's the Starting Over Everything level membership, and on top of that, you also have the weekly winners. So, we got to determine who's going to win this week to see who the last name is. Right now, it is Jet Lee 44, who would add another raffle entry because he is one of the Star level and Over Everything level members here, baby. So, let's give those nightly shout outs to those that are in these top levels of membership.
Thank you very much to Skeptical Fan, Jet Lee 44, Lincoln Kane, Marissa Sparkle, The Lunatic, and Over Everything, Seabass.
Yeah, we just heard from him the other night. So much love to Seabass and everybody in the Star level. Appreciate you guys, obviously, here in the off-season times. And there we are, right there, front and center, because it's time to shout out those in the membership here, or in the membership in tonight's chat. Let's put it that way. So I know you got to do the shout outs. Let's do this. I want to know who's in the house, because we got an interesting couple of important subjects to discuss here and topics to discuss, and I can't wait to get into it. So let's roll.
Let me see. Shout out to the gifted membership winner there, Juan Carlos. Much love to you.
Drop them if you got them.
King Dom. Hey, again, we're here to talk about literally everything but that tonight.
Well,
for the most part.
We'll see. I'll let you know.
I said for the most part. Mm-hmm. Right? Eric Wallace, what's up? James Herr, much love. Everybody. There's not a single NFL player out there that's somehow playing for free, right? They're all playing for money.
Huh.
But
I agree. Yeah. What was the comment? I didn't.
Well, I'll have to take a second here before I read that comment. Shout out Drums and Cowboys, who also got a gifted membership, but from the man Jet Lee 44, who's currently now in the lead with 3 gifted memberships.
3 gifted memberships. The overall leader not far off of the Cash App side. Big shout outs to the man, JR, Mr. Jetly 44.
Yes. But yeah, perfect timing there. But James Hurd, what he had said was, remember when Dak said he doesn't play for money? Biggest lie I've ever heard.
Oh yeah, no, I 100% agree on that. Listen, the comment was kind of taken, and again, I've heard the entire comment. We actually discussed that comment here. It was not that big of a deal when you hear the full context of the comment, but I understand what you're saying. Like even when he said that, I said, let's just take that one little segment out. That's bullshit, right? That's BS. Right. When it comes to Dak saying he wouldn't play for that's just, come on. Everybody knows that's BS. Just like we know that the Joneses are not, going all in the real way of the term, right? There's a lot of people that kind of just have to kind of fake it sometimes. Then that's a fake situation. I think that's Dak Prescott, not being genuine there. And that one of those few moments, I think he comes off as not genuine. That's obviously BS. But the full context, I kind of understand what he's saying.
So, rolling back here, continuing on with the shout-outs, we have Mike Aldana, much love. Let me see, even you, Lee's side, Harold. Lee's side. Daniel Berry Sports, much love to you. Of course, Skeptical Fan, always staying skeptical. We have...
the whole family here.
Mike Aldana, much love. By the way, he said, is Parsons a team player or someone who enjoys showing up whenever he feels like it?
We'll discuss it.
I think it's an interesting discussion tonight.
You have some
Micah's
info on that, yeah.
Comments there. So we actually heard from 2 or 3 other Cowboy players on top of Micah Parsons.
Yeah, important thoughts there.
Micah's kind of, you make jokes like, oh, you're eating for 2. Micah's kind of representing for 2 right now in these mandatory mini camp. Yeah. And we'll get to that, obviously, when we get to the Micah parts. Asmodeus representing here in the house. Much love. Raul Castro, thanks for rolling through.
By the way, I do want to shout out the man, Skeptical Fan. He just dropped a $2 holler in the Cash App, and he said, "Go Cowboys!"
Always go Cowboys. Thank you so much, Skeptical Fan.
He's got to get the membership. I'm going to update the membership board right now. I mean, the gifted membership board. But appreciate you there, Mr. Skeptical Fan, with the Go Cowboys and the $2 holla. The J. Lou, too.
Well, perfect timing there. Freedom First was first tonight as well. Let me see. Let me take a second here. Shout out Jetly44 with a $2.20 holler. Go Cowboys.
I was going to say, he always throws it off with that 20 cents. So those the change. I hear you, JR. I keep calling. I want to call him an original name.
I know.
I'm going with the nickname that he knows. And, of course, Jetly44. We're going to get used to that. So thank you, sir. And the 220 along with that. Again, still the leader on the overall board.
Yes, of course, guys. Another shout out there to Stormy. Much love to you. Saying just passing through, like and share. Much love. Appreciate
you. Thank you so much. I've seen she's sharing it out. Fantastic.
Appreciate that, Stormy. And again,
fantastic stuff over there on the After Dark sessions.
In the daytime or the late time.
So yes, thank you, Stormy.
So, like I said, guys, we have a few Dak adjacent things. So please, hold on to your Dak opinions.
When the Dak stuff comes up, we'll discuss it, even for those few that really hate him.
Yes, I would genuinely like your opinions on some of the other football things we have to touch on, because again, some really interesting things, baby. So let's, without further ado, let's go ahead.
We got
start jumping into it, because again, mandatory OTAs we have.
Manicamp,
sorry.
No more OTAs.
I know.
Now we're officially in mandatory time. So these players now, if you don't show up, you get fined. And, it's going to cost you about $100,000. We discussed this yesterday in case you missed the show yesterday.
To bring back an old favorite. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Exactly. And not the case, really. And then, yes, the case in 2 different situations. But we'll get to that in a minute. NFL news. I always get the little interesting news tidbits of the NFL. Even if you don't like football, you still like, damn, that's weird, interesting, whatever it may be. But some signings today, big signings, actually, name signings as well. So anyway, former Lions tight end Brandon Pettigrew was in Dallas. What's going on with Dallas and issues? But he was in Dallas. He was arrested on Sunday morning around 2 a.m. after an incident at a 7-Eleven where he punched and shattered the glass door of a 7-Eleven there. So tasers came out by the cops. They were not used, but he was arrested for criminal mischief and taken to the jail before being released the next morning, I guess that same afternoon, 1 p.m. But unclear what led to that this altercation. The cops were basically called there to the convenience store of some kind of disruption or disturbance going on, and he was frustrated with some guy in the store. It looked like I seen the video. So, anyways, that's that one situation. A former
it's
player.
all going down in the Big D apparently.
I don't know. That's something's going.
But yeah, that's
dangerous
like the third
D.
or fourth situation
In this
of an NFL
offseason,
player
right?
having something happen in Dallas, and we're just sitting here thankful that it wasn't a Cowboy player once again.
Great point. Because that's the biggest importance there for us. Anyways, obviously we want everyone to be healthy and no trouble and shit, but it happens, right? It's just not hopefully to our Dallas Cowboys. Now, big news on the running back side of things. Reigning Offensive Player of the Year from the 49ers, running back Christian McCaffrey. He has reset the running back market, signed a 2-year extension with the Niners, so we're going to be still dealing with Christian McCaffrey for another 2 more years on top of this one here. So, 3 years total. The extension averages $19 million per year. What do you think about that? The fact that it's $19 million. Listen, we went from running backs going like $10 million, $12 million. Now it's $19 million with McCaffrey. $19 million per year.
Again, so if that's the ceiling, so to speak, that's actually not bad overall. And remember, McCaffrey, as much as you want to put him in just a running back box, he obviously gives you much more than just like a straight up running back.
Yes.
So for him at least,
Agreed.
it absolutely is justified because you are getting more than just that running back value.
Agree. 100%.
So, consider that extra million like the kind of tax you pay for having a guy who can,
if you look at it that way,
basically be all over your offense.
Yeah. If you look at him that way, he's your receiver. I mean, he's your running back, obviously number one, but he's also a vital receiver and integral part of your offense. So he's a major. You talk about like a major cog of your offense. That's a major piece. You don't have him, the Niners are done. So, and I think he is not just a running back. You made a great point, and that's why you're here. It is great insight.
Not just
there.
so I don't get fined.
Not just for that reason. No, not just it's, again, running backs are running backs, and some of them catch the ball and out of the backfield, but McCaffrey literally is a all-around guy, versatile amongst pretty much anywhere in an offense. You can, if you're creative enough, and of course we know with Shanahan over there, the Niners, they're very creative, and they use it to all strengths of your offensive pieces. Brock Purdy's strengths, they cater to that. They don't make him have to go above and beyond. So with McCaffrey, they put more on his plate because he is the man. He is that elite player, and he's getting paid elite money. So I understand why this quote-unquote running back gets that money. The only thing I will say, he's been, injury prone sometimes, and a guy like him, even with all the tough running he does, you get beat up. You overuse him wrong, or you overuse him, or you use him wrong. That's $19 million. That's going to be ate up on your cap by a running back that might last 5 games. He should last much longer, and he should have hopefully he doesn't get hurt. But I'm just saying, getting hit like that in the next 3 years, we'll see if he gets those full $19 million per year worth. The Niners do. Off of McCaffrey. Anyways, I think we had enough McCaffrey talk. Any quick thoughts on any of these 2 topics, because we don't have much more NFL news.
Well, Jet Li's asking, do you put Zeke as our, RB1?
I think based on the money, you have to follow the money on this. Yes, I think he's running back number 1, Jet Li. I think he is de facto number 1. He's loved by the front office, but also paid the most. That's just the way he's about $3 million total max, $2 million at least.
I agree.
Rico doesn't
really matter how we end up, quote unquote, using him.
Mm-hmm.
He will, even if he doesn't end up getting like the most snaps, even it's about the way that we use him, and we fully intend to use him as our RB1.
Yeah.
So backs only get, let's say, 20 snaps the whole game or some crazy shit. I'm exaggerating a bit, but you get the point. It almost doesn't have any correlation to the snap count or anything like that. It's more about the Cowboys' mentality and how they see Zeke and how he fits onto this team. So
I agree.
But again, we're going running back by committee this year, basically. So.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. How do you determine who's the starter? Not by the money. You determine who's that first player on the field, the first snap of the game. That's your starter. First down and 10, wherever you are. That's the starter. And the next play, he might not play the rest of the game. Your starter was the guy who took that first snap.
Yeah.
Even if the next guy took 90%, 99% of the snaps. So that it's really who's going to be the starter, the first guy on the first down. Probably most of the time it's going to be Zeke starting like that. But I think you'll have more Rico Dowdle usage and maybe some other guys coming up. We'll see what happens. That's a big question mark right now. It's got to be Zeke and Enrico, I think, as the top two of the the group of running backs we're going to have utilizing the room of the running backs and their jobs. Anyways, much love there. Great. Excuse me, I had the hiccups there. Great, discussions. But now let's move on to, of course, Larry Allen, of course, passed away, and we discussed that in detail yesterday. Sean Payton, of course, former Cowboys offensive coordinator there for the Cowboys. Sean Payton talked when I was with the Broncos as a head coach. He talked about Larry Allen for almost 6 minutes during his press conference today, and he talked about a couple of stories. Story about Larry Allen from the Pro Bowl when Sean Payton was the coach of the NFC was an outstanding story, and I'll explain what happened in a minute. But much love there to the man, Jet Li, 44 in the house.
Ooh. With another $2 holler, much love. He said, "Go Cowboys, Mavs, Stars, and Rangers."
Yep.
Mavs in 6.
Let's go. I want to see the championship. It starts Thursday, by the way.
Yeah,
so.
I hate to be that person, but every kind of Dallas-related championship absolutely puts pressure on the Cowboys because it's like, look at all these other sports franchises. When is it your turn again, Jerry?
The way I look at that is good. Let them apply the pressure. I want the Cowboys to have pressure, the football team to have pressure, because I think it's been too easy for the Cowboys. It's overlooked in the way this thing's been run, and the more eyes seeing. If we don't get there and it keeps failing, then we know where the foundational issues are. Anyways, we go on forever about that. Much love there, Jet Li, as he takes Marco Sapien down to 29 points. Told you guys we fixed that. Thank you guys for helping us fix that and verifying it. But Mark's down at 29 points, very attackable. Now, again, going back to Larry Allen, Sean Payton told a story about him during the Pro Bowl, and basically when he was the coach of the NFC, for the NFC side, and it was basically about Tony Romo and Larry Allen. He said, quote, I had heard that at the Pro Bowl, and this was just over in Hawaii, you can get someone's room number that was like, if you're able to get someone's room number, it was like gold, because then you're all the, incidentals can spike up, and then it could build up for those room charges pretty quickly, especially when you're there for a full week. So that was paraphrasing a little bit, but Sean Payton basically first tried to make Tony Romo kind of be his, like, the guy who's going to be paying for everything, kind of make him pay for everything. But Larry Allen stepped in, and he's the one that ran up the tab on Tony Romo's room. And kind of, put Romo in a deep hole there, just kind of fuck with you kind of way, jokingly, of course. So, and again, another interesting little tidbit that Sean Payton's to discuss in his 6 minutes out of his 10-minute press conference about Larry Allen. Sean Payton said that Bill Parcells and him, remember, he coached under Bill Parcells in the early 2000s for the Cowboys. Sean Payton said that, Bill Parcells and himself used to talk about creating their all-time starting lineup from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Sean Payton said that Larry Allen was unanimously, in their minds, would be their starting left guard, by both sides, by both of them. These, as they were kind of, messing around, kind of creating their little all-time greats. And basically he said, quote, there aren't many players you can say that about, that they would both be unanimous, or would be unanimous kind of choices for this the greatest of all time list. That shows you how great, Larry Allen was as a player. And, again, we know about his off the field situations, he was a great guy off the field. But there is an important kind of thought process from kind of something that I found, and I think you also kind of have for us in detail as far as the quote from Willie Anderson, who's a former, I think New Orleans Saints player. And again, he kind of said a couple of things relating to the situation with the death and passing of Larry Allen. Now, listen, I don't know if he knows more information about this than we do. Maybe he knows some behind the scenes stuff, but he does know some things that cause these bigger. You said it yesterday. The bigger the guy is, the more the easier it is for you to have something go wrong, just naturally. So, anyways, I'll let you say what Willie Anderson kind of posted about today on social media.
I hope and pray one day the NFL addresses ex-NFL big guys' heart and kidney issues. The transition should have a lot more education and benefits. We struggle with heart and kidney disease when we leave the game. We took too much Toradol and ibuprofen. They do a solid job on some things, but guys need to know as soon as you retire, get that weight off you and flush your kidneys. High blood pressure and kidneys are linked together. I preach it to all my young high school NFL guys. Start now getting that weight down and don't take all that medicine for pain. Parents, save your sons from what we go through now as ex-players. No need for your soon to be over 320 pounds in high school. No need for your son to be over 320 pounds in high school. Get that weight off you by not dieting and not eating, but by learning what good food is, lots of water, cut that juice down and stay active. We struggle because of the everyday pain we have and sometimes don't want to move. It's tough. I'm not going to lie. Not complaining because I know every day people go through worse. I'm trying to educate. I ask y'all to pray for my health, and you never know what people are going through.
And hey, I gotta say, it's just an insight on some of the big guy problems when they retire from football.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all make those same jokes. When you see a retired player that either looks like a deflated balloon, and then they look like a reinflated balloon, but maybe not exactly with muscle. If you get what I'm saying, retirement is hard when you are used to a certain level of physical activity for that
and
long.
Food intake and powering up.
Yeah, so it is a lifestyle adjustment.
It just sounds like that kind of is the relation to something related to Larry Allen, because why would he post this in reference to Larry Allen? I don't think he's saying it's definitely kidney issues, but it's kind of this whole thing, I think, is what he's trying to say. So anyways, it's good to see and hear someone kind of who really knows is in this and is living it speak on this. When it comes to the late, great Larry Allen and his possible situation. Any quick thoughts on that in the chat or by you, baby? I mean, I don't know. I think you made your points on this yesterday. Bit. And it's funny because Willie Anderson actually kind of follows up your comments and your thoughts from yesterday. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, I do agree that the NFL, maybe can do a little bit better with some education side of things as far as giving players the resources at least to be able to do stuff like that. So Mike Aldana saying Larry Allen was a private person in general.
That's true.
So and that's why I said that we have no idea what he was dealing with behind the scenes or in his personal life as far as his health and stuff. So maybe he did have something going on that contributed to the things that happened, but it still doesn't. It still obviously was horribly tragic and unexpected, even if something contributed to it.
Yeah,
so.
Condolences obviously to his family, his kids, his wife. McCarthy actually spoke about this today in his press conference. Yeah, before the mandatory OTAs, McCarthy had his press conference. And I say mandatory OTAs, I'm talking about actually the on the field portion of the practices, which the media is involved in, and it's going to be involved in for today and the next 2 days. So Mike McCarthy began his press conference discussing the Larry Allen passing, offering his condolences to the family on this announcement. And again, this announcement, he passed away Sunday night, Monday morning. It was announced Monday. First time to speak on this, of course, and he opened with that. He said the Cowboys had a video that they played in their team meeting this morning, I guess you can say, to honor Larry Allen. So, again, obviously it's on their minds. And he also said, quote, it is a huge loss. Obviously a huge loss for the Cowboys. Just to hear the stories told about him the last day and a half, it's been really cool, end quote. So, again, a big, of course, condolences and shout-outs from not just the players and coaches, but, I mean, players in front office, but also McCarthy. Now, when it comes to business here, training camp, of course, still end of July usually, right, guys? We got a little bit more information. McCarthy kind of touched on that real quick, and so it's not really set in stone. But we do have some kind of knowledge on when the Cowboys training camp is going to begin in Oxnard, California. So the first report said that, it's going to probably be departing from Dallas to Oxnard July 23rd. And word is that the first day of practice tentatively going to be right now for July 25th, which is literally what I had said the other day. Expected to be around July 25th with the Cowboys. That's when they first. That's after check-in and going through getting their equipment set up or whatever they get over there. Then they some walk-arounds, walk-throughs, and then they have the first real practice and they're supposedly set up for the 25th there. The Cowboys. Then other comments and thoughts out there saying that the training camp's going to be maybe July 22nd as far as departing from Dallas instead of the 23rd, a day earlier. And, the first practice could be as early as July 23rd. So, interesting little differences of opinion out there about this. So, it's still not set in stone, but they're almost done with it, it sounds like. And it sounds like training camp also is kind of announced that it was going to conclude in Oxnard. Of course, it goes back to Dallas for the last 2 weeks, but it will conclude around August 22nd. So it'll be basically a good month out there of that's usually about 3 weeks or so, 3.5 weeks. Sounds a little longer this time. The Cowboys possibly could be out there for. So we'll see. If it ends August 22nd, it probably starts July 25th. It probably starts later. So we'll see how that goes. But McCarthy was kind of like not clear what he was gonna, what's the actual set dates for this. So expect that to be out in the next couple of days or so. Now, who was at training camp? And I kind of have to we got to discuss this real quick because McCarthy also discussed in some of these guys. And first and foremost, let me just touch on, and we'll touch on this a lot more later, but just really quickly, and you guys probably know this already, with the check mark right next to him, number 11, Micah Parsons. Of course, he was at practice today. At the mini camp, he was at least in the building at checking in and all. One guy was not at practice today, and again, we kind of assumed this would happen. He might have held in, but he's actually officially, as you see in the title, holding out.
Ceedee.
Yeah, so he will not be in mandatory mini camp yet until he gets his deal fully done. Even though we know it's a lot closer to getting done now. Ceedee Lamb not spotted in the Dallas at the Star in Frisco for the mandatory minicamp. Ceedee Lamb was not present for the voluntary OTAs the last 2 weeks, but that was voluntary. This is mandatory, which, again, you can get fined. Just to be clear, again, he was not at the meetings this morning. So, again, now he's not showing up to the meeting today, which is obviously mean he's probably not going to be there for the on-the-field stuff. And, again, skipping mandatory minicamp while he awaits his new contract. So, if this is the case, and it wasn't confirmed yet, he will be fined $16,953, so $17,000 for missing today, on Tuesday. Tomorrow, he'd be fined $33,908, so about $34,000. And then on Wednesday, that'll be Wednesday. And then on Thursday, final day, if there is a third day, the Cowboys, sometimes I said this, they cut them short. So if there is a third day, it goes to a $50,855 fine for Ceedee Lamb. And that's it, 3 days. So that's you're getting hit basically with a little under $100,000 for missing minicamp. He's going to be making $950,000 per week on his new deal coming up. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. On his current deal, he's going to be making basically $1 million a game on his current deal. The next deal is going to be, of course, a lot bigger. So he's going to be able to afford a measly $100K. Minicamp means nothing to him right now in this way. So you don't want to get hurt. This is a way of assuring you're not going to get hurt.
Rightist Modus, he's like us losing a dime or a quarter. Hey, maybe even a whole dollar bill.
Yeah, maybe at most. Yeah, I mean, now.
Definitely some, pocket change you forgot to remove from your pants before you toss them in the laundry type of situation.
And maybe he could be holding in. Maybe he could be there. But you know what? It makes a bigger impact if you're holding out. So, boom. He'll pay the $100K for advertisement. That's what he's looking at it as. It's worth it. It's worth it for him.
Yeah, and again, I do think this is actually important because it is a sign of where the Cowboys and his, team is at as far as contractually speaking. I said yesterday that I was really, really hoping that the Cowboys would pull off some kind of 11th hour, last minute something with Ceedee Lamb so that, like you said, he could hold in, so to speak, right? The contract is far enough along. Yeah. Ceedee's willing to go, but not so far along that he's willing to go and do anything
on the field.
Possibly
get hurt or something, right?
Instead, I'm guessing that again with the relatively last minute addition there of Justin Jefferson's contract, the day before, it's still basically only 24 hours since that moment, give or take a little bit. So the Cowboys are obviously, doing what they have to do, but that didn't really give enough time for Ceedee to maybe make any kind of decision one way or the other, so he had to stick to holding out. Right? This is not an area where it would benefit Ceedee Lamb to kind of bend, right?
Oh, it would be only in the eyes of the fans, I think. Oh, and Jangly Echoes dropping that 5 on it.
Thank you so much, Jangly Echoes, with the question of the offseason. Riddle me this, Batman. How long does it take a motherfucking front office to sign a player?
Now, I just want to say, with Dak, with Micah, with Ceedee last season, I agree 100%. It is on the front office. This year, though, Ceedee was controlling this until Justin Jefferson got paid. This was not a front office call on Ceedee Lamb this year. Front office allowed this to become this, so I blame them still. But I hear you. But for this specific offseason, it was Ceedee Lamb saying, "Hold up, I want to wait and see what Justin Jefferson gets paid. So I'm gonna get either paid that or around that, maybe a little bit less or a little bit more."
Yep.
So that's why that's how I answer that question. But I agree, this front office is a fucking shambles, and we know most of the time they cause their own misery, and this is an example of that. So it is foundationally, yes, you're right. It's the clown show.
Thank you, Jangly Echoes.
Yes.
By the way, shout out to you, Seabass. Much love.
Yeah, Seabass.
Mike Adnanis had to take the $120K out of CD's new contract whenever he signs it.
Exactly.
He's basically seeing it that way. The skeptical fan's like, I wonder if CD can write, that off on his taxes as a donation.
It's a fine, so no.
I was gonna say, I don't think that's how it works. But from a tax perspective, I am kind of curious how that works. Like, I'm just saying, like, does that mean that his taxable income is, he's got $100K less taxable income, or is he taxed on the fine? Because technically he had to earn it and then pay it back. Like, I don't know.
He's probably not taxed on that.
Super random.
I assume he wouldn't be taxed on that. But anyways, as we keep it moving, because there's still more about Ceedee Lamb here, we just have to understand that he probably was not going to, and we kind of understood this yesterday, he could hold in and not work out. That'd be the best case scenario, and not work out there. But he could still be there, or just say, hell, this makes a bigger statement and just take it out my, $3 million a game check, So the point I'm trying to make here is that this fine doesn't matter with $35 million to his name per year. The fine doesn't matter. So again, we knew this. Now, what was Ceedee Lamb doing in between this here yesterday? And I say yesterday, I mean Monday. While Cowboys were getting ready for a mandatory mini camp, Ceedee Lamb was filming an NFL flag football campaign, like a campaign video, actually, like an advertisement.
Yeah.
In California. And again, it was on June 3rd, so it was on Monday. So just throwing it out there, so for those that know wondering what he's up to, just some flag football advertising.
How funny is it though that the freaking NFL itself is basically it almost feels like they're helping him play hooky. Does that make sense?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, but he's still working for the NFL,
I know
right?
He is.
So,
I'm not saying that at all. It's just like it's still something about it still feels like they're kind of helping him play hooky. Back to you.
Yeah. So what did McCarthy do? Now, McCarthy comes out, like I said, already give you his first introduction kind of comments there, and Oxnard and training camp and all that. But what did he say about Ceedee Lamb? McCarthy confirmed that Ceedee Lamb was not present for the start of mandatory minicamp. So that was we kind of knew it already at this point, but it was officially said by McCarthy. He said a couple of things about the offense being the same makes it less of an issue for someone like Ceedee Lamb. And I've kind of touched on this the last couple of weeks. It's not like Zimmer's defense, which is different. It is something that Ceedee Lamb already knows this offense. The tweaks, I'm sure he has the book. They've been in communication with him. So he's been studying this, and he's not losing any time here. And what McCarthy said was, quote, at the end of the day, it's about connecting the young players to the veteran group. You have veteran players that may miss or not miss, but they're all engaged. Every one of our players are. We've had an incredible offseason program so far. The quality of work within the realm that we could practice in and work in, I really feel great about it. And then he said, this is a business decision and has really no issues with how the Cowboys team is preparing with their veterans. Like, the veterans are just getting contact around the rookies.
And I
really
actually really like that comment by McCarthy exactly because of that, right? Like, he's acknowledging, one, the fact that Ceedee Lamb is in a different position, like you pointed out, and great point there too. Our offense is more or less the same. There's no real
McCarthy.
major changes. There's no big pieces to account for. And Dak and Ceedee have obviously been
worked out
accounting
together.
for each other.
They worked out
for
together
a while.
off the field. I mean, off the practice field here.
So on that side of things, of the continuity, picking things up, whatever, it's just a matter of honestly, like maybe brushing some dust off and that, and learning the new tweaks and stuff. But that's all like chump change. It's not like a Zimmer defensive situation where you're learning, a new coach and a new language and a new scheme and all sorts of newness.
Which kind of will bring us to Micah Parsons shortly. But when you look at, what McCarthy kind of was saying also when it comes to CeeDee Lamb, and he said, these players and engaged, right? And you're going to hear a lot of that because he spoke about, he was asked, how specific, after answering this about, all the players are locked in and you can engage with them about the offensive scheme or whatever it may be. McCarthy was asked specifically how CeeDee Lamb has stayed engaged, even though he's away from the facility. And his answers were short. He said, quote, he's been engaged. I can tell you that. So, again, a lot of engagement between McCarthy and CeeDee Lamb, even if he's not at the facility. Now, that's the CeeDee Lamb portion of the story here. McCarthy was then, after that, asked about Micah Parsons. And he said, basically, we all know Micah Parsons was at the facility today, even before McCarthy was there. McCarthy avoided elaborating on what he expected to see from him today, but he did say, quote, Micah's engaged, end quote. I mean, then he ended up saying, joking after that.
Congratulations to him, who's the lucky lady.
But he's been saying this like 5 or 6 times in a span of like 2 minutes. He then kind of made a joke, said that that's his word for the day, engaged.
Engaged.
Yeah. So he's, again, tired of the questions, and he was trying to find some comedy there. So because he's tired of the questions about these players that are not there fully or, having contract issues going on. But then we moved on to some football questions real quick. And let me just touch on a couple guys here that I think needs touching on. And that is Deuce Vaughn. A lot of people are like, oh, yay, okay. The idea of Deuce Vaughn working in the slot, McCarthy spoke on this. So this is big here, guys. And he said, quote, Deuce, he looks good. He looks really good in the slot. We've tried to cross-train a number of guys this offseason. This is the time of year you do it. So he added, saying, I'm looking for a lot of dual position potential players when he's cutting down, when he's like, when he said basically, when I'm cutting down the roster, I'm looking for dual player potential to stay on the roster. He said, quote, basically the young receivers right now, not just trying out Deuce Vaughn there, but some of the young receivers, whether it's Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, the rookies here, Flournoy, they are right. According to McCarthy, he said, quote, they've knocked it out of the park as far as these receivers, the whole receiving core, the young guys specifically. Remember, no CeeDee Lamb, and we know Brandon Cooks is there connecting with Dak, but what about the rest of the guys? Tolbert and the rest, right now looking really good. He said he really likes the way they've been practicing, the way they've been looking in practice. So that's really good to see. Now, what about kickoffs? McCarthy, again, what was it? After a little more than about 20%, I think it was. 20% of kickoffs were able to be returned last year, which is very little. McCarthy said this about kickoffs, quote, we anticipate that it goes to maybe 60%. And he, again, was referring a lot of things here to, a Kevontae Turpin situation, who, again, is also a young receiver as well. So
yeah, obviously the adapted rules there when it comes to all the special team side. I mean, it basically gave Turpin another kind of injection of energy as far as his potential for staying on this team, contributing to this team.
And being a factor. Because returns last year, he only returned 10 returns last year.
When he first joined us, again, that potential and our expectations were obviously much higher. It's kind of gone down a bit there, and now we're like, I feel like we're back to that same level of hype and expectation to be real.
I do want to add one last thing. I remember Fossil saying this. I know McCarthy is saying that, we expect to see, listen, no matter what, you're going to see more returns this year for Turpin. That's great. But if teams are scared of him, they'll just give it to us on the 30-yard line or 35-yard line. So what was it? 30-yard line, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
But Fossil wanted the 35-yard line because that would give us an advantage with a good returner. We get an extra 5 yards. Now we're like 20 yards away from a field goal attempt here, or 30 yards away from a field goal attempt, a good one.
Said, even that's...
NFL said, no, we'll go at 30. So some people are going to kick it out of bounds or not out of bounds. Some people will kick it out of the end zone and just not let Turpin return it anyway. So we'll have to see how that works, during the season. Again, it's going to be different for, I think, different teams. There's going to be a lot of differences going on depending on your returner, the possibilities for return. Some teams will want to take a chance feeling they have a good coverage return team, to cover. Like the Chiefs, who going to use, Reed back there as safety as their kickoff guy. And you have an extra tackler because, you want Brandon Aubrey if you're us. Do you really want Brandon Aubrey making tackles there? We need all 11 defenders in these situations. So a couple interesting changes. You see some interesting differences and variations all over the NFL this year on kickoffs, with the new rules. Anyways, that was McCarthy's thought on that. And one last thing I wanted to say McCarthy said, I thought was very interesting about the rookies. This is impressive from this rookie group. And again, a lot of us have, thoughts about this group being like, a solid group of new young players. McCarthy said, quote, these rookies, he spoke about the draft class, the 2024 draft class. He said, quote, they come in on the weekends, and I see them doing the extra things. Those are the things that I look for. I look for their interactions with the coaches, their ability to communicate. And he also said, quote, I haven't had a draft class that's better than this draft class when it comes to this stuff.
That's great. Again, like I said, it makes us feel so much better, especially after last year's lackluster draft /
production out there from them,
class,
right? Results from them. But do you think some of that has to do with maybe they know they need extra help from a Guyton who needs to go from the right side to the left side, from a Cooper Beebe that has to go from guard to center? Do you think they do that because they need more help and they know it? Which is good that they know it, but that means it's also kind of scary because that means they have to put in the extra work, and that means they're not really there yet.
I mean,
how do you feel?
I don't see it as concerning. Right. Remember, they're rookies. Of course, they're not there yet.
True.
They're still farting college football. So, yeah, that to me is not concerning.
All right.
On that part of things. So I would be more concerned if the excitement level internally had maybe changed or altered in some way. But, like I said, as of now, everyone is still with a similar mindset. Of course, time will tell. And like you said, training camp and all these other things, we'll start to see a little bit of that. But I think even last year, even in those kind of early days, there wasn't this level of excitement, so to speak, around
the rookies.
Our rookies, as far as like the way that they were coming into some of these OTAs or mini camps and the way they were going into
the narrative
training camp officially. Like it was never like that. It was just more like, here they are.
I mean, we're looking forward to Overshown. He would look like our best guy. He gets hurt in the second preseason game. So that's where we shit the bed there with that rookie class. With these guys be back, knock on wood, no one gets hurt, and that's what we hope for the most. Now, again, remember, these mandatory minicamps, as we talk about mandatory minicamp, what do they do there? It's the same thing as OTAs, basically. It's glorified OTAs that you get fined for if you don't show up because they're mandatory. So that's basically what it is, guys. Not that big of a deal. Like McCarthy said, it's not really about scheme implementation as much as it is, even though they probably do some foundational things, it's more about getting the rookies and the veterans truly interacting and, practicing with each other. Position groups, drills, some 7-on-7s, some 7-on-7s, some 7-on-11s, 11-on-11s, right? But it's not like necessarily going to be hitting contact, pads, that kind of stuff. Right now it's just shells and shorts.
Yeah,
so,
Skeptical fan agreed. He said the whole Cowboys team just didn't come prepared. Seabass said, blame both. Hey.
Well, I guess it could be both, yeah. We'll see. I mean, I'm hoping they put in the work for whatever the reason is, and we get there with them. So, some practice notes, some thoughts from what I've read and seen and kind of heard from things. So let me break a couple of things down. Let's start with, of course, Micah being there. Let me get this guy out the screen. We got enough of Mike McCarthy today, right? Right. He's out.
I think we're all set on the McCarthy side.
The big bubble side. So now, of course, we go. Let's just start with Micah Parsons, who, as we know already, seen there. McCarthy, confirmed it, and of course, also seen there in the practice. He was in attendance. So what did he do? Did he do a lot of? Last time he's been there, we didn't see him there last week. He was there, but he didn't do any drills. He just hung out. It was kind of almost like a hold-in, right? He was just doing some like strength work in the in the locker room. It wasn't like he was on the field with the players. So this time, first time he's on the field, And he spent a lot of one-on-one time with the assistant defensive line coach, Greg Ellis, who's, again, the quieter version of the Zimmer situation, the lineage there. So interesting to kind of see what the implementation is here by Zimmer. Just kind of say, hey, former player, former Cowboy, Greg Ellis, explain things to this young man, what he's going to be needing to do. So by the time we get to training camp, he's already studied it and knows it and knows what he needs to work on and things he doesn't need to push. So in this Zimmer scheme. So we'll see what happens. But he was talking with Ellis a lot. He missed most of the OTAs. He never really showed up on the field for that. He was there for a couple of some of the working out side of things, but he got his usual work on the field as the outside edge, the off edge pass rusher, as well as playing some off-ball linebacker in the box. So now he's right there behind the defensive line, and guess who's next to him? Number 50, Eric Kendricks. So he's working with Kendricks in the box. Not every snap. Most of his snaps were at the edge, but now he's working more linebacker, off-ball linebacker. And I'm telling you guys, why is that happening? And I said this to you guys over and over again. It's not that we're going to have him at linebacker all the time to stop the run. Now, some of you guys think. The reason is because it's going to be those third downs. These two guys are going to have to be pushing the A-gap up the middle. They're going to be leaning in there, and you're not going to know if they're both blitzing, one's blitzing, they're both dropping back. And if they both blitz, who's dropping back on the defensive line or safety linebackers that are still in the game that are up on that pushing that line of scrimmage. So that's where you're going to see some of that kind of Zimmer-ish things.
Yeah.
So that's why you're seeing him as an off-ball linebacker with Kendricks. Both of them are going to hopefully be working very well in the middle on these third downs and sevens and plus, pushing that A-gap. And that was, I think it goes a double A-gap mug play that Zimmer is known for. That's what he needs. Two linebackers that can do this. And as off-ball linebackers that are kind of blitzing or showing blitz, that is what Micah will probably be doing with Kendricks. That's what you're probably seeing in these practices right now. Kind of getting him ready for that. Now, as far as Eric Kendricks, all right, let's give him some props here. He's the guy who has to basically break down the whole Zimmer, philosophy and scheme here for the Cowboys. Sorry, baby, I'm blocking your face there. Let me move. Mr. Eric Kendricks, he's number 50 now. You remember that, taking over that Sean Lee, I guess, famously. We don't have Devin Harper had that number, but Sean Lee, last famous one to be worn. So Eric Kendricks, guys, all business on that field. All right, let me explain a couple important things about this practice we just saw about Eric Kendricks. He's been a big assimilator, the go-between between Zimmer and the rest of the Cowboy defense about this scheme. They're trying to put it together here and get things kind of put together. So, new system, new personnel on the field. Of course, some rookies, some guys that are, maybe a guy or two from other teams. So I'm just trying to say they're trying to really establish this entire, defensive scheme and get it understood between these players. So, and the guy that's being the leader of this on the field is Eric Kendricks. All right. So I also want to add one last thing about this. Who's getting the green dot? Officially, Eric Kendricks. That's been kind of determined because guess what? When they look at his helmet, guess who had the green dot?
Yeah,
that can change.
And not just that, but again, we talked about this even before this became officially official. But again, we're the same way we talked about offensively, how there's not much for Ceedee to do as much when he comes back, right? It's just picking up a few of the new things. But offensive scheme wise, a lot of things are going to be pretty familiar to him. Right, so with Hendricks, it's kind of a similar thing. Kendricks, sorry. Of course, it's going to be a similar thing. He's already familiar with Zimmer's kind of general schemes and stuff, so it's going to be very easy for him to, kind of fit right into that role and be able to kind of help.
That's the key,
guide
because it's going to be harder.
The green dot.
It's going to be harder for the other
step ahead in front of everybody.
It's harder for all the other players to kind of get this scheme down as fast as you
Zimmer doesn't have to spend time explaining or kind of teaching somebody as well. I'm just saying, because he's already familiar with Zimmer, he kind of knows maybe some of his tendencies, or honestly just some of his language and some of the ways that he wants things communicated, right? The language itself is probably going to change.
By moving players around with the green dot, and he can say, go here, go. He's on the field coaching in a way with Eric Kendricks. But also a lot of experience, especially at the Mike linebacker, the middle linebacker spot, which is which is where you kind of run the show there. That's your middle linebacker. He knows, got to know where everybody is, and that's part of this defense. Under Zimmer is everybody, like the cornerback knows what the defensive edge rusher is going to do on that play. The nose tackle, Mozzie, is going to know, what Malik Hooker is doing on that play at safety. That's what the basis of this defense is. It's going to be a little more complex, and you have a great kind of interpreter on the field there. A coach player almost in a way. So it's good to see that's kind of, it's working comfortably, at least between Zimmer and Kendricks. And Kendricks gets the shit fixed on the field whenever that Zimmer misses, which, it does save time. It does hurry the process of learning when you have a guy like this on the field that also understands it very well, the system. Now, that's what, you can also make the point, that's what we're missing on offense with CeeDee Lamb not there, with guys like Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, Flournoy. You're missing CeeDee Lamb helping them, right, if he's not there. So that's what you're missing that from CeeDee Lamb on offense. On defense, you're getting that with Eric Kendricks being there, and then Micah coming back into that fold. So, injury-wise, we got to discuss a couple injuries real quick. As far as on the field, Trayvon Diggs and DeMarvion Overshown, and other players, but Trayvon Diggs and Overshown on defense returned to the practice field for the first time since ACL injuries last year. Both of them, again, worked only on the rehab side of things. They were with the director of rehab, which is one of the best in the business there, Britt Brown. And they're both expected to be back for the Cowboys, basically on the field, participating in practice for training camp. Now, doesn't mean, I don't know if that means the beginning of training camp. It means sometime in training camp, they're expected to be on the field and at full go. We'll see. I believe that when I see it. Now, that's, the Trayvon Diggs side of things. The DeMarvion Overshown out there on the field, all smiles, all right? He was also looking a lot bigger, as we know. You saw the short, if you've seen one of our shorts that we put up with DeMarvion Overshown, he looks a lot built, a lot bigger. So that's good to see, at least physically, he is there. Now, we got to see how he is off the torn ACL, of course. And he's still, he's in good spirits, and he looks a lot bigger, but, still rehabbing, like I said, with Trayvon Diggs on that torn ACL. CJ Goodwin plays defense, but really he's our special teams ace. He's going to be important this year with this new kickoff rule. He got hurt last year, hurt his shoulder, I think it was, kind of got a second opinion and then decided to just call it a season. He's basically back on the field now, which is great. He got cleared from the season-ending shoulder injury that he suffered last year in that San Francisco game. So he's been well over the time. It's not a torn ACL, so he's back sooner. He'll be good for training camp. He's good to go now, basically. So that's really good to see for CJ Goodwin, special teams-wise specifically there. Now, offensively, John Stevens Jr., tight end, torn ACL. He was also out there with the director of rehab trainer, Britt Brown, also in good spirits, smiling on the cords there, the resistance cords. Yeah. Also, he's also looking bigger, which, again, he had this is an undrafted rookie last year, John Stevens Jr., and a guy who I think looked incredibly like efficient in our offense. As a blocker and a passer, he looks bigger now, and they're saying that he looks better blocking too. He's already athletic as a receiver. I'm excited to see what John Stevens Jr. brings to this thing here.
Progress, right?
For sure. No, but I'm saying I see he already had potential last year, and he already was going to kick off Peyton Hendershot, and then he got hurt in the same game as Overshown. Yeah,
progress. Although maybe it's more just going back to where we were, right? Because the hype level, so to speak, was definitely still there before the injury. So.
Listen, it's. I want to see what people are like. Who's he again? Some people are still forgotten. Don't forget about Stevens, and I expect to see this guy have an impact in the blocking and receiving. So again, the undrafted guy from this year.
This is the last stand for Brooks and Tolbert. Time to shit or get off the shitter.
There's guys right there ready to take their spots. There's, as far as tight end with John Stevens and others, like the rookie, undrafted rookie we're getting in there. I think these guys are going to challenge guys like Hendershot and maybe a couple others. And let me just give you one last injury update. No Peyton Hendershot on the football field today. The only two guys missing from the entire team from the facility today was CeeDee Lamb and Peyton Hendershot. He was not cited at minicamp at all. He might get fined. I'm sure it might be an excused absence, so to speak. We'll see what happens. But third-year tight end and battling for his job, along with CeeDee Lamb, who we know he's the number one receiver. Not on the field. Not on the field at all during that 2-hour session. So we'll see what happens. I don't think it's going well for Hendershot. I think he's the odd man out for sure in this group, especially with the the new undrafted guys we brought in.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like even like, let's say it is an excused absence, right? Like Cowboys knew, all good. It's not like he's gonna get fined or in trouble or anything like that. He is still, like you said, the lowest guy on the totem pole. So I'm just saying, it's a rough situation for him. So Dak Delusional, by the way, saying Tolbert needs to show up. He blamed Kellen for him not knowing the playbook. What a poor excuse.
Yeah, but we saw a difference from that year to last year with Mike McCarthy's offense. He was much better. Now, let me ask you. That's a good. I'm not done with minicamp, so this is one last two little parts, but it's really a little offense and a little special teams update on minicamp. What we noticed. So here's the thing: Dak Prescott. Some of you Dak haters are gonna love. You gotta love this. Because Dak Prescott out there is not looking good today. Dak Prescott looked very sloppy on the 7-on-7 drills.
Okay.
Was off. His first throw was intercepted by who? DeRon Bland. Yeah. Donovan Wilson had a close to a pick six. Almost had an interception on him. Now Dak did connect with Brandon Cooks on a deep pass. I'd say about 3 plays after the DeRon Bland interception. But not a good outing for him in front of the media. So
look, everyone's allowed to have their off days, so to speak. And like we said, Dak's definitely been putting in less work than he maybe normally would this off season, considering the recent birth of his daughter. Yeah, and the fact that he's probably spending a little more time with his family.
He better
I don't think it's that.
He better take a $50 million deal then. I'm sorry, but you gotta do football here. Look, this is just one fucking bullshit training. It's not that. It's a fucking fuck around practice. This is more about integrating the players and veterans and rookies. So a guy who did great today, whether it was with Dak Prescott or with Trey Lance or Cooper Rush, was Jalen Brooks. Yeah, Jalen Brooks, number 83. Now, not Jalen Tolbert. I'm not saying he did bad, but Jalen Brooks stood out today. Again, I'm telling you, I think Brooks is making a run at that number 3 spot.
Okay. I'm
not saying he will take it over because of the draft spot. They took him in the 7th round. They took Tolbert in the 3rd round. So Tolbert always have that edge, but I think the coaches like him better.
The fact that he is competing and can kind of hang with the competition, that's actually a pretty positive sign for him.
Yeah. We got our 4th. Right now, if you're in the free agency side and you're seeing the way that Jalen Brooks is playing, you're saying, I don't need a number 4 receiver. Like, I don't need to bring anybody in. I think that's one of those things you do see at these mini camps and at these OTAs. You say, okay, I feel comfortable not worrying about receiver in free agency in the next month and a half, which they're going to be looking at some people. Nose tackle, I always say that. Cornerback possibly, a couple other positions we've discussed here, but running back maybe. So, but receiver we're good is the point with Jalen Brooks looking the way he's been looking. So, again, not that it's a secure thing either. Don't get me wrong. This is bullshit time. This is like glorified OTAs. So, we got to wait to training camp and see what things come out of that in preseason games. See if Jalen Brooks can continue doing what he looked like he was going to show last year. So, let's not overhype him either, right? Now, special teams, the final portion of things when it comes to training camp. Oh, not training camp, but mandatory mini camp on the field. John Fossil, mentioned the possibility of using 2 kickoff returners on these new rules. And we know Kevontae Turpin was going to be Deuce Vaughn. Yes. Kevontae Turpin and Deuce Vaughn have worked a lot in the return game these last couple of weeks in the OTAs and again today. So it sounds like it's going to be a Deuce out there. 2 guys, Deuce Vaughn as one of the returners on one side of the field and then Mr. Kevontae Turpin on the other side of the field.
I got to call it the Deuce.
Yeah, I like that. Deuce. How about the Deuce Turpin?
I am curious to see if that produces results, first of all.
Depends where they kick off. If they kick it out of the stadium, it doesn't do anything.
My only fear, you're putting both your guys out there. What if somebody gets hurt?
I have no problem with that. I mean, I have a problem with that.
No, just in the sense of
Turpin his specialty is this. Deuce Vaughn is our 4th running back. Like
true.
there's no if they go down.
I hate to say we can afford it. But
we can go to 1 returner at this point. My point here is, and you see in this diagram, look at the left side of the screen. In the landing zone, you have 2 returners. That's what it's going to look like, guys. And don't be surprised if you have guys also running behind each other. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a pitch back situation in short quarters. Small, what I'm saying? You can see trickery plays on this.
Yeah.
So do not be surprised, misdirection stuff happening. Think of it as a broken play And now you have a great runner with the ball in his hands that can kind of get out of everything, you know. That's what you got to look at this now more often than really the kickoff way and the old school way of doing things. So 2 returners, we're using both Deuce Vaughn and Cavante Turpin on kickoff, not punts, kickoff returns. So, and it's been going on for now 3 weeks. Just a little, I think it's important. I don't know.
I agree.
Now, I don't know if anybody has any last comments in the chat because we're going to go to the quotes of the day. And, of course, Micah had some big things to discuss. But we also had other guys speaking today. So, any comments from the chat real quick on minicamp or from you, baby, on any thoughts on this? I think I covered it pretty well for what we can cover here.
Let me see. By the way, Mike Aldana is saying Dak's not all in from what you're telling me.
I'm just saying he had a bad day.
Oh, he's messing with us, of course. Lotus Modi said Antonio Brown was drafted in the 6th round, so it's not impossible.
Of course,
you know, for
agreed.
7th round Brooks.
Agreed. Listen, there's a lot of diamonds in the rough at every position. You can find them, but again, you know, let's not crown him like that yet. Let's see him actually get out there and do it every single week. And if he can do that, and he can outdo Tolbert, then you put him in there as a number 3. And that won't happen until like week 5 or 6 at most.
Skeptical fan asking a very interesting question here, saying, "So how much do you pay a player that chokes in the playoffs?"
Let me see.
Unfortunately, just as much as a player who did really, really good in the playoffs, but also ended up in the same position. So, just saying, you can have a great playoff performance, but if your team still loses, then it is a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, let's not head into a situation where we're the ones, in the playoffs.
Yeah, again, it's Dak and also the defense and also the coaching and also the front office. And there's a lot of different reasons. It's not just one. But yeah, when Dak's your franchise quarterback and you said that as Jerry Jones has, and we know they're going to sign him, I mean, he's going to get paid. He's $55 or less million. That's my opinion. Probably $54 million. $34 for Ceedee, $54 for Dak, and Micah's going to get like, $40 probably. I don't know, but it's going to be costly, that's for sure. Now, we have some guys that spoke after the, again, I don't know if any other last comments, but we have guys that spoke after the training camp, and I don't know, baby, how do you have it set up? But
I got you. And yes, Romo was undrafted.
Yes.
So, and hey, I wasn't, from all over. Brady
sixth rounder, I think. Aaron Rodgers was in the,
So, hey, I'm just saying that you just never know, right?
Yeah.
So, with that, guys, of course, let's go ahead and start touching on some of the things that our players said, and let's go ahead and hear from...
We're going to start with offense, right?
Yes, we are, because the man... Actually, no, let's do it this way, real quick. We'll get to Zach Martin's comments here in a little bit. I would like to start off with Tyler Smith. He had a little blurb, a little something that he said today as far as the rookie class. Right, he's technically not a rookie anymore, so he's allowed to speak on this
Tyler
now.
Smith, again, repping that number 73. I don't know if he said anything about...
which, by the way, shout out, the man Jet Li earlier had said, we should retire the number 73 in honor of the great Larry Allen.
They might end up doing that. Who knows?
I actually was going to say, I personally disagree. I think the best way to honor his legacy
live on through
is to continue... allowing the number 73 to carry part of his legacy and hopefully, imbue the player who's wearing it with a little bit of his energy.
Yeah,
right?
I hear you.
So Tyler Smith says specifically as far as the rookie class, though, quote, "As far as the O-line room goes, I've been blown away. We went out and got great athletes, great football players in Coop, Tyler, and Nathan. And they're just extremely athletic guys who have a lot of upside. Guys who are learning fast, who really have come in pretty polished already. We're just working in on learning the offensive and cleaning up technique things, but extremely impressed so far." I mean, hey, that is a good feeling, right?
Yeah, I mean, and talking about Guyton and Beebe coming right in there, you talk about offensive line, and also, Nate Thomas, but... he wasn't the only guy that spoke on the offensive line. I know Zach Martin did too, but, Brock Hoffman, speaking almost of like the rookies, if you look at the rookie side of things, it's interesting to see Brock Hoffman he's going to be competing with BB and TJ Bass and those kind of guys.
And he's made like one or two little comments previous to today as well. But he did go in there talking a little bit about how he's kind of enjoying this second year and building some of that chemistry with Dak as well, saying that him and Dak are pretty much on the same page in terms of like checks and
chemistry. Yeah.
So again, sounds like the communication, another, point for, the second season. So clearly, I'm just saying, clearly Hoffman is feeling more comfortable with that too, saying, that he needed practice. Basically, that it's been needed in practice because Zimmer, mixes it up a lot. So they actually, like that level of communication improving and things like that, like they actually kind of needed it because Zimmer's throwing a lot of different things at them and they're like, whoa, we got to
that's what Zimmer's
continuously adapt.
It's kind of good because we're hearing this from Brock Hoffman because you're also getting a feel for what Zimmer's defense is going to be doing.
Yeah.
To confuse you and do different things. And so the communication on the offensive line is even more important. Not just, for us, it's good practice. For other teams, it's going to be more important that they get their shit down because if they're even behind a little bit, the Zimmer defense will confuse you. Now, this is good practice and a good push for someone like Hoffman and TJ Bass and Cooper Beebe to get used to this kind of stuff. The sooner they learn it, the better it's going to be. Hoffman also said there was, he saw a lot of stemming fronts. He saw a lot of 5 down linemen over the front line. You know what I'm saying? It was like basically you had 5. Sometimes you had 5 guys at the line of scrimmage, but different ways, right? And I'm telling you, there's going to be some Micah in the middle kind of stuff there. But he said basically Zimmer's defense was really good at mixing up and hiding things. You know what I'm saying? And even saw that Micah Parsons was involved in some new wrinkles in the defense. I'm telling you, over center, you're going to hear this probably discussed tomorrow by us here. Because I'm pretty sure you're going to hear more about what maybe Brock Hoffman said and the other guys said, and I think more details from Tyler Smith. You're going to see and hear Micah moving around the defense all over the place. Now it's really being hybrid, but utilized as a pressure guy no matter where he's at. Pressure player at linebacker going forward, not going back in coverage or stopping the run. He's there to blow up plays. He's there to give pass rush. But again, mostly going to be on the edge. So anyways, we got a little glimpse, though, through Hoffman's kind of quotes and thoughts. Anyways. Now, we also had, I know, Zach Martin speaking. And he said a couple of things.
So, of course, guys, Father Time catches up to us all. And one of the big discussions around Zach Martin heading into this offseason is we are getting to that time where he's going to hang up his cleats at some point.
Retirement.
And Zach Martin is a smart man, right? He actually was kind of facing it head on by acknowledging that
we also have a lot of young guys,
we do.
coming in the offensive line. He knows.
But he basically did kind of acknowledge, there's a more serious potential that this could be his last season. So, but he's trying to channel that kind of energy of, that possibly could be into something more productive. So, especially after kind of an unconventional off season last year with his whole contract situation and stuff, and it's kind of interesting. There's a point I'm making here, I promise. If you guys remember, like I said, he had a bit of a weird
off season last year when it comes to the training camp. I know. I'm not sure. I was confused. I know he had the off season was completely different last year, the way he trained for it and the way he had to hold out. On OTAs he held in, but and mandatory minicamp he held in, but training camp he held out.
And the reason I say that is because he acknowledged that probably impacted his regular season output and production
the way
stuff.
He played out there.
So keep that in mind too. But specifically when it comes to possibly retiring, Zach Martin said, quote, "I'm not saying 100%, but I think it's definitely in the realm of possibilities. And that's one of the things I don't want to do. For myself, I don't want to be thinking, oh, this is it. I want to stay in the moment, and I want to play the best that I can play at this point and be the best right guard this team needs on a weekly basis. And then after the season, we'll figure out what's going on." So he's fully committed to the season, and it sounds like he's not going to keep that in his mind throughout the season. Basically, let's see how I feel when everything is said and done, and I will decide then. Because obviously right now...
Makes sense.
Of course he's feeling like he can physically hang, and he still has everything, you know what I mean?
It's a little scary that we have to now, we just lost Tyron Smith. Now, is Zach Martin coming here up the next couple of years? Yeah. next couple of years, we're not going to have Zach Martin here anymore. So, I don't think it's going to be 2025. He just opened, like you said, Mike Aldana, open to retirement in 2025. But he'll be here at 26 and 27 if he keeps this level of play. Listen, he had a bad year last year. I mean, it wasn't bad. He's a top 10 guy still. My point is
it's funny because he even says that he's like, oh, yeah, last year sucked for me, basically. Like, it's really funny to hear, oh, man, I had such a shitty year.
He's still like a Pro Bowler.
That's his shitty year,
yeah.
A year of production that most guys would probably shit their pants
right.
for.
I mean, they would dream for that. So, Zach Martin is a guy that I think, he is, if he has, again, this year has the proper training beforehand, he's done it. If that's truly going to make a difference, he's going to be elite again this year, and I don't think there's any time retirement coming in the next couple of years.
Definitely one of those suffering from success type of situations. And the reason I mentioned specifically like the weird offseason is because Nick Bosa recently also made comments because he had a very similar offseason last year to Zach Martin. They both had similar situations, right? And Bosa even said like, man, it did. Me not being there, me missing some of training camp while I was dealing with this contract stuff, it did affect him a little bit and kept him from being as locked in with the team. So when Zach Martin was doing his interview today, they kind of told him a paraphrased version of what Bosa had said and asked him like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And he said, as in Zach Martin, quote, I couldn't agree more with that statement. I've had a couple years, obviously, last year with the contract and a couple other years with some injury stuff I was dealing with during training camp, where you really don't get those kinds of reps. It's hard to explain, but it kind of feels like you're always playing catch-up. I felt like last year, you roll in a couple weeks before the season, and you're just trying to play catch-up. Like, oh, I need to get in the right conditioning shape. I got to work with the guys that I'm going to play next to. I'm very excited to be able to just go to training camp this year, get in my rhythm before the season starts. So, and he did say he tried to mitigate what he called the holdout effect as best as he could. If you guys remember, he was training pretty hardcore with Duke Manyweather, And he also, did a few other things. He also said that he tried to keep himself, physically... right, because he's actually lost a tiny bit of weight this season now, saying, I don't think I played honestly up to my standard last year, really. That's another reason why I want to finish this year strong. I think I can play at a high level still. I think I may have come up a little bit short last year, and I've got a chip on my shoulder to get back to that consistent kind of dominant player that I have been.
Well, I mean, again, I love that he still feels like he played like crap last year, which, again, it's only be good for the Cowboys this year. He should be leveling up to his normal eliteness, and that's what we all expect from Zach Martin. I believe he'll be here 2-3 more years of eliteness if he don't get injured or has a contract issue.
Yeah, if we can keep him healthy, if we can continue to perform at that type of level, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
So, that is it as far as the
offense. Is that the offense?
Yes, the offensive side of things and the Zach Martin side of things, of course. We
have some defensive guys speak, I think. Damone Clark, if I'm not mistaken. I know he spoke. I don't think I have a Damone Clark.
He spoke
about rookie, if I'm not mistaken, which is actually maybe more important than it is Damone Clark's comments, right? Because you look at our other third-round pick outside of Cooper Beebe, it's, what is it, Marist Liufau, number 35. He was out there, a little smaller size, but he's more like a Palomalu headhunter type. Again, what was his thoughts about this third-round pick who's out there on the field with him? I heard this high praise for him.
Yeah, I was going to say, so already, starting off really strong, Liufau, if he's making this type of impression.
What did
Clark said, quote, he's a sponge. He asks a lot of questions. He goes out there and does everything 110%. He gives it his all on every play, and the sky's the limit for him. Maurice is going to be one of those ones.
Yeah, Maurice, I think he's going to be a guy that is going to be a headhunter. The way he kind of gave me the feeling the way he was playing in Notre Dame, I'm looking forward to him to be a surprise for some of you guys out there. But again, he has to show it. And again, being smaller size, he's wearing 35, which reminds me of the injury of Overshown. I'm just saying, we have to also hope he is a guy that is going to get through the rigors of training camp, preseason, and into the season. I have confidence in him. I just want to make sure he's good to go. So, good insight there. Damone Clark giving his 2 cents on the core of linebackers, which we're feeling good about. Feeling good. So, now, I think we have our last and final speaker before we got to end the stream tonight and call it a night. And appreciate everybody here hitting that like button, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us on Twitter at MyCowboysFamily, on Discord. Of course, on the After Dark shows, if you guys are up for that stuff. And it's not every night, so we'll see what happens tonight. But you never know. And then, of course, the leaderboards. Big shout out to McLovin, who's the Cash App King and the sponsor of the week. Markov Seppian hanging on with 24 points on the Stream Boss. And the Gifting Champion. Big shout out to Jet Lee. 6 out of 7 weeks here, champion. And he's currently in the lead. I never changed it yet, I don't think. 3-1 over Skeptical Fan on that side of things. And he's also the overall leader, as SCO971 is the current leader on the Cash App side. So the battles continue. So, baby, I know we have to talk about, is it Micah Parsons, the only one left, right?
And he has quite a bit to say.
Well,
he actually, again, spoke the most.
Yeah, so we're going to close it out with Micah, who really has the most, and we'll probably discuss a little bit about Micah as well. What he said here, some of his very important comments. But as we get to Micah, baby, I do want to bring up one quick little thing before you get there. Again, I want to remind everybody literally today, which is Wednesday now in most places here, but we're in Tuesday, but Wednesday, all 3 episodes of that Micah and CJ Stroud kind of Take Tokyo.
Yeah,
It airs tomorrow. It will be available tomorrow, as in Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. So, if you're in the West Coast, you got 10 a.m. You're getting your ability to watch this. So, The Edge presents his Micah and CJ show, Take Tokyo, full episodes on the BR, the Bleacher Report app, YouTube app, or HBO Max, their Max app. Now, Micah, there's a lot of little clips that are out there about it, and I was going to post a couple. I just didn't, with Larry Allen and other things going on, Ceedee Lamb, I wanted to make sure I posted that in the short section. But just so you guys know, in this show that's upcoming here on the Micah and CJ show, Micah Parsons was basically I think he was in Japan for a baseball first pitch with CJ Stroud, and he basically thinks he could bat around 180 to 200 if he was in the major leagues, which CJ Stroud from the Texans basically shot that down and said, quote, "Delusion at its finest, ladies and gentlemen." And I've heard a lot of back and forth. I posted one where they do go back and forth about 20 different things. So this is going to be a back and forth kind of trashing each other thing, but also, of course, in good humor and kind of fun. So expect a funny show. Hopefully they don't overdo that, but we'll see. I'm definitely watching it. I know, baby. I know we're going to definitely probably tune into that. So, just wanted to say that with all that going on, he was also at mandatory minicamp. He was not really at the OTAs the last 2 weeks. And so that was a little bit of, I won't say breaking news, but that was a little bit of, okay, at least we know he's back, even if Ceedee Lamb is still holding out. So, and he wasn't holding in. He was there working with Greg Ellis and, and being involved, as not just an edge rusher, which he was most of the time, but also as a off-ball linebacker. I believe on third downs, you're going to be seeing him doing that stuff. But anyways, baby, you take the floor. Let me know what he said, because I'm interested. I know he said a lot of important things, interesting things, and things we're going to comment about. So hit us up.
And again, kind of funny, because we're going to start off with Micah talking about Ceedee Lamb.
There you go.
So, of course, I joked earlier that Micah Parsons was representing for more than one person. He's kind of the Ceedee Lamb unofficial representative, while Ceedee is not there because, well, Micah being there also, extra highlights Ceedee not being there. So, it adds to it. But Micah Parsons saying this about Ceedee Lamb, quote, "If I'm his agent, Ceedee is getting $36 million a year."
Beating the Justin Jefferson by $1 million a year.
And again, like I said, in some capacity, in some measure, I do think the Cowboys will have to give on the Ceedee Lamb contract. Since Micah's talking about Ceedee and his money. So,
there's no way the Cowboys probably go 35-5 or 34-5.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. Somewhere in that range. Not gonna be that much more. I don't think it's even $1 million more. So,
and a bit of a criticism that Micah has gotten, especially this offseason, is that he's basically doing everything but football. Again, some people have thoughts about that, but Micah sees it very differently, right? To him, this is just part of his usual off-season recovery. Saying, quote, "It really takes me months to get back. It takes me months to even hit a football field. I don't hit the field until May. I really take the time to build my ligaments back up. Get a lot of physical therapy, get my muscles back. I don't want to hit the field until May, June anyway. So,
interesting.
Again,
he doesn't even do football until this time frame right now.
Yeah, and I think I have more of the explanation for that, but he does remind us all, like, hey, maybe Micah Parsons and all that, but when it comes to, like, D-line, I'm undersized. So,
yeah.
I'm taking some hits out there. So I just appreciate Micah kind of acknowledging that as well. So, adding in there as well, he actually spoke a tiny bit more on the Ceedee thing. And again, just kind of sharing just general thoughts here, saying Ceedee about to hit the brink truck. He's about to get his. But I can't think of someone more deserving. I think Ceedee is the best receiver in the league. If you ever want to argue it, top 3. But in my eyes, seeing his mindset and how he comes in every day, I think he deserves every penny.
So that's why he said he should get 36. But Brink's truck is coming in. He definitely will get paid. He deserves it.
And again, kind of circling back to the whole, Micah, you're not doing football stuff, or heck, even just the missed practices leading up to this mini camp. A lot of people are like, Micah, where the heck were you?
Yeah, again, with Zimmer and the new defensive scheme, that's added into that. Yeah,
defense is defense. I'm pretty much caught up on everything. Paul Gunther was messing up with me, and just messing with me. That's the run game coordinator. I feel like I was just getting better, getting stronger, and getting faster.
Yeah, I mean, again, Gunther is a specialist here to help the run game on defense, the run stop. And, it sounds like he's getting caught up pretty quickly is the point here.
Yeah.
They were always engaged with him. So we knew that they were going to be, he would be caught up quickly, even though he wasn't working on football stuff even during the OTAs. But he knew what he needed to do and be ready for this Cowboy defense and this new scheme. But this will be more applied in training camp. Right now, it's just kind of the quick foundational stuff that he's getting caught up on. So good to hear Micah's getting quickly caught up on this. What else did Micah say?
He said, I really wasn't missing anything. I feel like I was just getting better, getting stronger, getting faster, doing my things. What Micah does in the off season. Wrestling, and obviously he's talking about his little sumo wrestler.
Yes.
In
Japan.
It was a double. It was a double entendre in the sense of one, we know he does wrestling, but two, he was trying to apply the sumo wrestling, right? But he said, "quote I just have fun." Hey, I think that's a great way of, obviously making sure to take care of himself, staying healthy and all that stuff, and honestly, he's allowed to have fun. That's especially during the off season. Like that's when you are allowed to have fun.
His fun is, boxing. His fun is like picking up like tires, and what I'm saying. So again, he does go to Japan, but that's kind of an NFL sponsored thing. He's still having fun out there. Yeah, he's doing his thing, but the guy is still working on football. He's still working on his craft, and again, he to me is. He's basically, in his mind, I think he's 24/7 football. Like that's the way he is even in the offseason, even when he's on vacation or something. He's still thinking or doing football things. So I'm not worried about him. And I think he came back, again, his biggest asset is his ligaments, his body, to keep it as best possible for a long career to make your living, right?
Yeah, so he acknowledged some of those criticisms by saying there was a time when Aaron Donald didn't even go to camp, and he won Defensive Player of the Year. And he led his team to the playoffs. Are we forgetting these times? You've talked about the best defensive player wasn't even in camp, but we're in mini camp, voluntary at that. I'm just looking at it as time for my body to heal. I'm an undersized rusher who gets banged up every year. So I'm just letting my body heal. I'm just trying to grow, strengthen, and really just get better for the year. So
I understand what he's saying, and we've said this during the whole off season. Everything Micah was doing was just strengthening him. We were talking about, he's just getting stronger, and even when he wasn't at the OTAs, he was still doing, things that were going to get him to training camp healthy and ready to go, healthy as he can be. So it's good to see.
And he acknowledged something kind of interesting as well. So he said, quote, understanding that the business side of it too. My body is all I have to offer the Cowboys. Before you sign a contract, you go through a physical, and this is your engine. This is where all of my equity lies. I have no equity outside of this to offer them. So you have to understand that availability is the best ability. If I'm not available when it really matters because I'm banged up or my body isn't healing properly or, I didn't get to all the rehab or treatment that I need to be successful, well, that's on me. It's not on them because they'll just, find the next me. Basically.
Yeah, he's got to last long or else they'll replace him. He's right. That's the world. That's the world they live in. I mean, you got to be always at your best.
I agree. So, something else to kind of consider, Micah said that he's personally not disappointed at all by the Cowboys' lack of roster activity.
Oh. Well, I disagree with him there. I want to know more about his thoughts here.
He said, I like what we're doing. I think just being out there today, people are definitely going to be very surprised how good we really are.
I'll wait and I'll be surprised. I want to be surprised. That's what I'm saying on that.
I know. You're so good, we didn't even see it coming.
No, I want to see it before I believe it. And I don't mean just in training camp. I want to see it on the field, Week 17, playoffs, Super Bowl 6 and beyond. Anyways, go ahead.
So, Micah Parsons also, he talked about Ceedee and all that stuff. But hey, he took a second to talk about himself. He said he'd prefer to play his entire career in Dallas.
Of course.
He wants to live and breathe his days out as a Cowboy. But he did say, quote, one day, time will tell. I can't really put a timetable on mine. All I got to do is keep getting sacks, and that stuff will handle itself. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were
no. You can't do anything. Yeah, no. That's it. You can't really do it, but handle your side of things, and the contract stuff will be worked out. In when it's time, now or a little later.
Yep.
Sounds like it's gonna be a little later.
Probably a little later. So, touching on, sorry about that, but yeah, like I said, Micah Parsons also added in there, and I know I touched on some of this already, but like I said, he was kind of getting some crap for not participating in the same way as everyone else, and he gave a lot more detail.
And again, voluntary OTAs, not mandatory. This is mandatory, he's there.
So he said, minicamp was something that is just mandatory. So I'm just looking at it as a time for my body to heal. I'm playing as an undersized rusher who's banged up every year, so I'm just letting my body heal. I'm just trying to grow, strengthen, and really just get ready for the upcoming season. So he also, this is kind of funny to me, he said, you ever watch Remember the Titans? We're going to be in Oxford a very, very long time. There's going to be a lot of chemistry on that field. And I think that's really the time where you see everything.
Oxnard.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Oxford.
Sorry. That was my bad. That was my bad.
Okay.
So
you're gonna be in Oxnard training camp. And what else did he? I lost it there for a second.
Sorry. So we're gonna be in Oxnard for a very long time. So he's saying, like, "Oh, you ever watch Remember the Titans?" He's like, "There's gonna be a lot of chemistry on that field. I think that's really the time where you'll see everything. Like, it's hard to really teach someone without pads or true contact or just hand points. It's just not realistic.
Yeah. So
we can't even touch someone or we're going to lose a draft paper or something like that. It's outrageous. And I haven't really, I think right now it's just more technique. It's a lot of walkthroughs right now. So for my position, where I'm at, it's a lot of individual. And I can do a lot individually by myself or with my trainer.
Yeah, I understand exactly what the way he's saying this. Remember what happened last year and the year before that? Do you remember?
About what specifically?
Well, McCarthy had his practices and these mandatory OTAs.
We got hit.
We were hit. We lost stuff. Yeah, we lost days of mini camp and days of OTAs because of violating the physicality rule between the NFL players who wanted this way and the NFL. So, Micah, we
are lucky that it didn't, go farther than that.
Yeah, but his own union, though, supports the players. So it is to give them like a little bit more, a little more of a break or so. But the point is, Micah is just like, listen, they're keeping us from really putting in the work that we need to put in.
Yeah.
So I can just do this on my own. Sometimes, that's why
exactly.
OTAs.
Because he's talking about specifically this time period. Because if you
Not
go back to what
camp,
he originally said, he's like, training camp is really where we're going to be putting it together. Until then, most of the non-contact stuff that we're doing is a lot of individual stuff that, at least according to him, he's like, I can do this more or less on my own.
Yeah.
So
that's the explanation for the voluntary OTAs. But mandatory stuff, he's there, even if it's just a walkthrough.
And a bit of a controversial final little note I'll leave you on as far as the Micah Parsons things. And this is the last thing he said, but he, like I said, he mentioned the whole thing about another reason he doesn't participate is because he wants to take care of his body. Mm-hmm. A lot of people took what he said in a very different way. I'm actually really surprised because I generally took it as exactly what he said. He's like, I want to try and have a long career. I don't want to break down early. I'm already undersized. I want to rest and let my body heal. He said, quote, I understand the business side of it too, This is all I have. This is all I have to offer the Cowboys, Before you sign a contract, you go through a physical. And before you do anything, before you're even on a team, you got to go to a physical. This is your engine. This is where all my equity lies. Yep. I have no equity outside of this to offer them. Availability is the best ability, and if I'm not available when it really matters, because I'm banged up or my body's not healing properly, I didn't get all the rehab and treatment that I need to be successful, and, that's on me, not on them. They'll just find the next me.
Yeah, so a little overlaps, but yeah, I mean, it's more direct, full quotes there from Micah, and, I understand. People are going to make more out of this than it really is, but I understand what he's trying to say, and I agree with him when it comes to the individual side of things and individual drills.
I know, but people hear that, and they're just all they hear, and not even that, but that's what I'm saying. They hear individual, and they're just like, yeah, Micah doesn't seem like he wants to be part of this team, as far as participating with or whatever. It sounds like he's just in it for himself.
Right, exactly. So, hopefully people get the actual connotation and the context here of what he is saying, and those that don't probably will never, because they want to hear it. They want to hear the negative as much as possible. I understand what Mike was saying. I understand what Dak was saying when he said last week about, or 2 weeks ago, playing, for free. I know he still didn't feel that great to say, but I understood what he was trying to say in the context. Anyways.
Now, the thing that to me, and this is the actual last, because like I said, this is the last comment from Micah, but no, this is a Mike Zimmer thing. I purposely left this genuinely for last, because this is the part where I'm like, why is everyone freaking out about Micah not participating in this kind of off-season stuff? Why is no one talking about the fact that it sounds like him and Zimmer are on two very different wavelengths?
Well, again, we're hearing about that he's caught up. He said he's caught up. What else did he say then?
Well, he kind of made a joke, but let's be real. It's kind of a joke, not joke, that him and Zimmer have probably maybe said about 20 words to each other total.
Oh.
Saying, quote, he's a very quiet person. All I kept hearing from the coaches is, oh, Zim likes it that way. But I like it this way. I can't wait to have my true sit down with him. I think it'll be pretty cool because obviously old school mindset, old school mentality. He's had a lot of great players, but he ain't never had a Micah before. It'll be fun, and I think it'll be unique. Similarities with how he uses me and with how Dan Quinn used me in the system. But he has more tweaks and turns of how he's going to set things up. There's some things that I've got to get used to too. It's got to be a compromisable relationship. And the thing is that I don't want to talk about rumors and stuff, but basically people are just saying that, it sounds like, Micah Parsons and Zimmer are on two different pages currently right now.
Well, it just sounds like, it's almost like it's more, the coach tells you what to do. You got to kind of do it. But
it doesn't sound like Micah necessarily likes, as of now, the way that Zim likes to run his defense.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think we're reading too much into that.
I'm talking more from on the field football side. I'm talking more from the personal, actual management side,
communication side and things. Maybe I could I can see what you're saying. Like he's not as hands on like
well,
that.
Yeah,
but
not just that, but Quinn. You've mentioned this before. Quinn was very much a player's guy.
Exactly.
Like he was very active. He
Zimmer's
talked
not
a
like
lot.
that.
He was very communicative. Yeah, Zimmer is a lot more, like you said. He's a lot more quiet. Not hands off necessarily, but he's just not like he's not keying with the players the way that Dan Quinn was.
Yeah, he'll never do that. And again, he's more of a defensive backs guy than a defensive line coach. Remember, Dan Quinn was defensive line coach, so he might be more jokingly, maybe a little bit. Listen, let me just say something. If he was going to joke at anyone, it'd be the DBs and the cornerbacks and safeties. But he doesn't joke at anyone because the only time he talks, the only time he speaks, if he's speaking to you, it's probably because he's yelling about something. And he's the kind of guy that will stay quiet unless needed.
Yeah, if he's not talking to you, it's almost probably a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it sounds like, again, Micah likes more interaction with Zimmer, but I think it's just that this is their first true interaction on the field. So as time goes on, I think you're going to see them just, understand each other as time goes on.
And maybe this is, I hate to be that person, but maybe a little bit of that is on Micah. As much as I agree 100 million, 10% with him kind of doing his own thing during the offseason, a slightly natural consequence of that is if you're not as active with some of the offseason stuff the team is doing, you're obviously not going to be as in the mix with some of the stuff that Zimmer maybe is doing now.
As Modi's is saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. That's not good.
Again, I'm not to the point where like I'm freaking out or anything. It could just be a bit of a rough start. Like I said, it sounds like Micah, obviously he's only ever had Dan Quinn, and Dan Quinn is a much more personable type of guy. So I think Micah's just obviously used to that. I think any of us would get used to that if that's like, the only experience we have with something like that. And change is always hard. I'm hoping that this just kind of gets worked out once we see the scheme actually in action. And like Micah said, once we have pads, once we're doing something more than just like walkthroughs.
Yeah, that's what's going to count. And, you got Micah also there with Kendricks, who's going to be really, the guy you want there in the linebacker room, and he'll be there as well, Micah. You can actually learn stuff and maybe not cut some corners, but learn things quicker because not just, through Kendricks, to Micah Parsons, whether at linebacker or, playing the, the edge rushing side of things in this defense. I think it's going to we'll be fine. This is literally the first time they're working together on the field. I mean, I don't see too much negative. I don't think Micah meant it as negative. I think Micah just saying, not used to having a guy who only says 20 words, but when we get our sit down, it's going to be fine. I think he's going to enjoy what Zimmer's going to present to him. Is my plan. Right now, he doesn't know what he's presenting to him yet fully, and he's waiting to see it. And it's maybe he's going to get there. So Micah should have been there earlier. He would have known faster.
But like I said, that was pretty much it on my side, and that does bring us to the end of tonight's live stream, guys. Again, mandatory minicamp day 1 in the books. Tomorrow is another day for our Dallas Cowboys. Let's hope to continue. Everyone stays healthy.
Yeah, we'll see
Everyone
what happens.
continues to absorb the knowledge that they're learning and stuff like that. And, just hanging out with their teammates, bonding, learning to learn each other before, obviously this next little break. And then, hey, next thing you know, training camp is basically here.
Yeah.
But sorry, Perm Bar. You came in just in the nick of time to say goodnight to us.
Here,
With that said, I'm going to do some shout outs here. But first, you got to shout out the people repping it on this board. Like the man McLovin, showing the love, sponsor of the week. Thank you so much, man. Not just that. He's your Cash App king currently. Of course, a big mahalo to Marco Seppian, still bossing that stream around with 24 points.
Yes.
And thank you, of course, to JetLee44. He's representing as your membership gifting king, and he's trying to go back to back there once more.
6 out of the last 7 weeks.
Oh, true, that's right.
And back to back, again, this will be a new streak for him. Back to back like a 90s Cowboys. But he is in first place currently. Yes, you fixed the board. He's in first place this week on the gifting side. He's got 3 on it. The man skeptical fans got 1 on it. So much love to you guys as the battle ends on Sunday. And we also get a weekly winner and a Cash App king. With a change right now, the leader is SCO971 when it comes to the Cash App crown. So, but he's not the overall leader. The overall leader is JetLee44, still in first place there. We shall see what happens. And if he does get that, again, he's in the star level as well. So, and by the way, skeptical fan, of course, in the star level as another guys in the star level there. But with Jet Li 44, if he does win this week as the sponsor week, he will get a bonus raffle entry.
That's right.
Yeah, he'll have two, but star level and the winner. So much love to all you guys. Appreciate you with the love here, the support tonight. Specifically, Skeptical Fan gifting a membership and jumping into Cash App. Jet Li 44 with a gifted membership and a couple drops. And Jangly Echoes with the 5 on it. Thank you all for your support and love here on My Cowboys Family. As we wrap this up, we should be back tomorrow for another one. If they don't let media in or not much discussions going on, we'll see what happens. Quiet day, we'll see. We'll come back definitely on Thursday to wrap up the whole thing. But it sounds like Thursday could be canceled when it comes to the OTAs, the mini camp. So we'll see if they get everything in tomorrow, and we just go hard tomorrow. And then we'll see what happens on Thursday.
Stay tuned, guys.
They go towards
you got to make sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell.
Yep.
Usually that way you can always make sure you never miss a live stream, or follow us on social media. We always post there
at My Cowboys Family. So guys, check it out and get the shout outs. Let's get the shout outs.
Yeah, of course, the man Burn Bar, much love, Bong Gang. All right, Brandon J. Take it easy. Asmodeus, much love. And yes, let's hope there's no smoke and no fire.
That's the hope.
Oh, Cyanide, what's up?
Yeah.
Asmodeus, much love, who said, for those of you who don't know, football is a team sport.
Exactly.
I think some people need to be reminded of that, right? Saying Parsons still young, let him do his multiple things for now, because in time he'll eventually slow his roll and he'll pay more attention to the details of his craft.
Agree.
So,
I definitely agree with that.
let me see who else is here. Skeptical Fan, of course, always staying skeptical.
Hell yeah. Much love to the man, Skeptical Fan.
So, by the way, have you checked the Cash App real quick?
Oh, no. Oh, shit. There it is. Yeah, I didn't see that one. That was about 20 minutes ago. The man, Skeptical Fan, he did drop another $2 holler right there. He said Eastside has a Dak poster on his ceiling. I can see that. Thank you, Skeptical Fan, and that is probably true for Eastside. He loves Dak.
He's like the type to have a Dak Prescott body pillow. But that's just me.
Much love, Skeptical. Appreciate you. I think he moved up on this board as well. I'm going to check that on this side while you, I guess, shout out the last names.
And Mike Aldana, much love, by the way. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why he asked early in the pre-stream, what our thoughts were on the whole Micah situation and how we took it. Like I said, I think that people took it overall not in the way that it was intended by Micah, right? Because I think that people hear that and they hear someone more selfish than I think he's actually being, when he's just kind of acknowledging, like, hey, I kind of have to take care of myself if you actually want me to, like, do some of this football stuff here. So, I don't know. That, like I said, the Zimmer stuff to me was the more concerning part. But even that, I'm still kind of like, I just think it's just a more personality thing than Micah, like, being a diva or something like that. So, lost in translation. Agreed. Much love to you. Dak Delusional, have a great night. Aztec Aguilar 04, representing. Even you, Leaside Herald. I guess you get a little shout out too.
Yeah.
Of course, the man C. Bass, who, by the way, said, I just want to see the O-line perform exceptionally.
These rookies got to step up. If they do, you'll see that. Yes.
Let me see. Who else is here? Even you, Jim Everett, I guess. got a Rams fan in the house here tonight.
Jim Everett. The old quarterback.
Let me come Chris back Everett. Down here. I think
He snapped when they called him Chris Everett.
Let me see. Godless. Take it
Godless. After Dark crew over there.
Let me see. MCF After Dark. Who's that?
I don't know. He's hiding out in the
so that...
He's hiding in the weeds. Sorry. Yeah.
At least on my side, I think that's everyone here. So, guys, I think you know.
Well, I'm testing you.
Oh, okay.
Do you know why we do this each and every night, or try it, especially during the football season? We do this thing each and every night here at My Cowboys Family.
How about this? Let me test you. Why? Just kidding. It's that navy blue.
I forgot. No, I'm joking.
That silver, too. And that star over everything.
You see it. You see it right there.
It's the Dallas Cowboys, not the Micah Cowboys, not the Dak Cowboys.
Yes, the Dallas Cowboys. Win, lose, or draw, good, bad, or ugly, we're going to represent that star for everything on this channel forever. And on this channel, My Cowboys Family, less than a month away for our 7-year anniversary, entering our 8th year here on My Cowboys Family on YouTube. Never forget the number one thing here, now, and forever. As always, go Cowboys. Let's get that 6 and beyond. Thank you all for dropping your knowledge in the chat all night long. All night. And, of course, thank you guys for your drops of love from above. Can't do this without your support on all the fronts here on MCF and After Dark, who, again, you got to sub up to that channel, hit the notification bell. Subscribe to the notification bell. And when I go live, you gotta be awake for that one, because you can't rewind and you can't rewatch. But not every night do we go live there, and that's why you have to have your notification bell on. So on that note, baby, as we wrapping this baby up here tonight, it's time to clock out, drop out of here, and relock and reload for, I'm assuming, it's gonna be day 2 of a hard-fought walkthrough in our glorified OTAs called, AKA, the Mandatory Minicamp. So I'm looking forward to whatever comes out of this tomorrow. Hopefully, number one over everything is no injuries when it comes to these things. And looking forward to see different little tweaks we're kind of coming up with and creating with before training camp. So on that note, it is time to get on out of here, baby. Before we can do that, drop out for the night, clock out for the night. What do we got to do before we are officially gone for the evening?
We got to take a second to shout out the man, the Lunatic, with his $2 holler.
The Lunatic in the house.
It's coming through here in just a second. Do you know what he said?
No. Let me know. Immediately.
Pinche Cowboys.
Cowboys. Hell yeah.
Dallas Cowboys for life.
Hell yeah. Appreciate you. There it is. The Lunatic. Star level member. The godfather of that.
Much love to Lunatic. Appreciate you, of course.
Yes, appreciate it. And as always, Puro Pinche Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys for life and your Cowboys. And on that note, yes, now it is time to wrap it up. I was Mr. Marco Seppian, 22 points in the stream, boss. But baby, as we wrap this up for the night, reload another show tomorrow. What do we got to do before we drop out of here for the night?
We got to drop the beat.
Hell to the yeah. We dropped that beat. They've been dropping out for the night, but hopefully we dropped all the news, info, and updates of the day for our Dallas Cowboys. Good, bad, and ugly. We talk about it all. Try to be as realistic and not delusional or hoping for players to come to this. We know the deal with this team. We're not going to hype it up on things that are real, right? We hype up the things that are seeming nice, right? So it's a great discussion today. Great wrap up here on another MCF Cowboys chat. Day 1 of mandatory minicamp. It's a glorified OTAs, but we have a check mark. Micah's in the house. C-Lamb not in the house. And again, but it's much more than that. Deuce Vaughn on slot. Also on returns with Cavante Turpin. Defense, loving what Kendricks is doing. The way we're kind of using Micah differently. A lot to talk about here. A lot to talk about, and exciting. A little more excitement gearing towards what the new things we're going to see in 2024, especially on D. Right? Hey. Here on MCF, it's about that navy blue, silver too, and always that star over everything. Never ever forget the number one thing right here on this channel, right here on My Cowboys Family. Thank you guys for the love, support, and watching. Of course, don't forget to hit that like button for the stream, hit subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, set it to all videos so you never miss a stream. If you're not sure, you can also follow us on Twitter, X, at MyCowboysFamily. You could also jump in the Discord. All the information is in that description down below. Thank you all. Stay safe. Much love to everybody. Peace out. We'll see you soon. And never, ever forget, go Cowboys! Woo!
Monk on the beat.